Enchanted Valley hike. Here we go, right at the trailhead. Such a beautiful drive in. This morning's a little gray, some sea fog, slight misting. It's supposed to clear in the next day or two. We'll see. It's beautiful. Graveyard. Wonder why they all fell. All in close proximity. We're about 4.7 miles right now. About 2 hours and 20 minutes in. Already stopped for a break and to clean out my shoes since I'm not wearing gaiters. Clouds are starting to burn off. It's starting to get sunny. It's beautiful. Not too hot, although I'm sweating as I always do. Wow, here's another huge uprooted tree. 6.8 miles in, about halfway there. Got to refill on some water, have some lunch. Beautiful little spot down here right on the river, surrounded by this valley, or surrounded by these mountains in this valley. No name, no name, no to me. I think No Name Creek. Pirates Creek. Last leg. Wish you could translate smells over video, but the cedar tree that's just splintered and destroyed, oh, the whole area right here just smells of cedar. It's just, I love that smell. That big boy is just hanging out above the trail. Wonder when that thing's gonna fall. Some of these trees are huge. Please close gate. Wonder if that's to keep the horses on. I'm not sure. How about I go around it? probably the most incredible view yet. Just come up on this hill over this cross little valley down below. Just those mountain cliff ridges, waterfalls coming down. Sun's peeking through a little bit over here. This is a massive tree that's fallen over the trail. It fell, you can see up here, from all the way up here, downhill. Boom! So this is Anderson Pass. Made it all the way here. Actually, I wasn't planning on doing this today necessarily. Just kind of happened. Now there's a bug itching. Anderson Moraine, which is a little lake. You can see it on Google Maps, just up that mountain. I don't know. Let me think about it. Wow. Okay, I decided to do it. That's the pass down there we're just in. Oh my goodness. Looks way cooler from up here. Getting up in the clouds up here. Not the most well-maintained or frequented trail. little fake lake down here. Not sure the name of that. Right up over this little ridge. That's gonna be that lake. Now it looks like it sits down in a crater when you're looking at the topographic, or the top of the lines. We'll see. I can't wait to see. Oh, man. Alright, time to get out of here. This was amazing. Very well worth it. Had to go down to get a view of the lake outlet. Super cool. A little bit of a waterfall. You can see actually more of the waterfall on the other side from the other ridge when you're climbing up. I couldn't get that angle here. This is super steep to get down where I did. Then got to climb back up and then out. Hoo-yah. Sometimes it's nice to run the downhills. It's almost easier on the legs, I think. Long ways to go though. Took a little spill back there off the side of the trail. I guess you shouldn't be running and looking over your shoulder at something at the same time. And we're back. Sit in my chair. And put my feet up. And here we go. Last morning here, sun decided to come out and decided to clear up a little bit over the valley, so got some beautiful peaks of the surrounding mountains, which I haven't yet, so stayed a little bit later just so I can see the views, but now it is 8:42 and here we go. Long hike ahead of us, but should be easier than the hike in, because I should be down some weight and it should be more downhill than uphill. Creek, 3.82 miles, hour and 25 minutes. No Name Creek, 5.5 miles, 2 hours and 8 minutes. Colonial Creek Camp, 7.19 miles. 2 hours and 48 minutes. Alright, found a nice little spot to break. At 8.5 miles, 3 hours and 22 minutes in. Gotta get some food in me, fill up on water, and hopefully we can do the last leg without breaking again. Alright, that was a 20-minute break. We're at 3 hours and 42 minutes. Here we go. Refilled on the water. Cleaned out the shoes, ate some jerky and some carbs, reloaded the snack pocket. Fire Creek, 10.56 miles, 4 hours and 32 minutes. Let's keep rolling. Pony Bridge, 11.66 miles, 5 hours and 2 minutes. Booyah! This hill after Pony Bridge is what I've been looking forward to all day. The pain and suffering. But once over this, I think this is the last big hump. We're home free. So get some. Almost there. Enchanted Valley, 13.5. That's more like it. I'm at 14.12 right now, so pretty close. And that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, like and subscribe. I really enjoyed making it. I really enjoyed the hike. I decided to do a little debrief kind of for myself for future reference, and if you're interested, you can hang out for this too. And if you want to do this hike, phenomenal. I'm a complete amateur backpacker. I've been backpacking once before in the Appalachian Trail for about 4 days, and have done like bunch of day hikes, but not anything super significant. So this is kind of pushing my envelope of backpacking, and I learned a lot. This was multiple reasons to do this. I just need to get out in nature and enjoy the backcountry. And I had some backpacking gear. It's been many years since I've done this. I wanted to do it for a long time, and finally had a few days where I could fit it in. But I also wanted to kind of explore my capabilities at my current fitness level and kind of see what my pacing could be, and also kind of initiate training for something bigger coming down the road for me. So this is a great time for me. Hopefully you can learn from some of the things that I learned and learn from some of my mistakes. First thing you'll need if you do this hike, you'll need a permit. You can go to recreation.gov, or you can go to the app. They have an app. It's great. We've used it to reserve numerous campsites in the last few months, but you need a permit. You can leave one on your backpack and one on your tent as well if you go on a day hike away from your tent. You can print it out from your email, or if you did like I did and you wait till the night before to pay the fee for the permit, and you don't get the permit in your email, you can stop by the ranger station there at Quinault. It's just right down the road on North Shore Road, around the north side of the lake. The other thing that you'll absolutely need is a bear can. It's required for this hike. I got a big one just because I wasn't really sure how much I would need, and it actually worked out. At camp each night you need to put all your food in here and any other smelly items, including like deodorants, toothpaste, wipes, stuff like that. Put it in here and then put it, I think it's like 70 paces away from your campsite. There are bears. I saw one bear, but there's all kinds of bear sign all over the place along the way. They're black bears, don't really bother you as long as you don't bother them. Just be loud and obnoxious if they get near you. So those are the two main things that you'll need before you can go. So for day one, you drive to Quinault, and there is actually a parking space just past Graves Creek Campground on Graves Creek Road. Right at the end of the road, right before Graves Creek, there's a bridge, and right there is the trailhead. You can park there, you can park along the side of the road there. There's a whole bunch of people parked there, but that's where you start. So first day, my Garmin data, I walked or hiked 15.31 miles in 8 hours and 22 minutes. So it's going to be kind of a long day. If you're amateur like I am, if you do 20-mile days and you usually do backpacking trips like this, it won't be too much for you. But I decided to go all the way from Graves Creek all the way to Enchanted Valley in the same day. Again, this was my hope, but along the way there are multiple campsites where you can stop if you need to. So first thing, you travel up, and your first stop is Pony Bridge. Before you get to Pony Bridge, you go up over a decent hill and then drop down onto Pony Bridge, which I didn't really realize how much of a drop that was until on my way back. It's just kind of a long, gradual uphill for a while. But right at Pony Bridge is where I first took my first break. It's beautiful there. And again, it's kind of hard to get lost on this trail because you essentially stay between these two massive ridges on either side for the whole way. After Pony Bridge, you just keep going. I stopped by the riverside to get some water, take another rest. Another beautiful little place. Then after that, there's multiple other places. I stopped at No Name Creek. There's O'Neill, where you can stop to camp if you want. There's campsites at Pirates Creek. There's campsites earlier on at Fire Creek. That's pretty early in the trail. But at Pirates Creek, I thought I was pretty close. I thought it was not much further beyond that, but I still had another, I don't know, a little over 3 miles to go. And because my Garmin data was showing that I had hiked further than what I was expecting to, that long last bit from Pirates Creek, it's kind of a long gradual uphill. Nothing difficult, but that long uphill takes a while. And I was ready to be done by the end of that first day. My feet were hurting. I was ready to set up camp. But as you go up the valley, there's one last bridge. Beautiful little spot too. Pretty high off the water, but after you cross that bridge, then you're pretty much home free and you're in the valley. There is a nice little vantage point just beyond that bridge where you can see the whole valley and take pictures. When I got there, it was overcast much of the day. Clouds were hanging along the top of the ridges, so you couldn't really see much above the ridges on either side. And I really didn't know until my last day when it cleared up how much more there was to see. But Enchanted Valley, there's a chalet there, and I camped just beyond that chalet along the river. And after you set up camp, you can go get water at the river there. So that was day one, all the way in. And I was kind of hurting at the end of it. I was thinking I was not going to be able to do much the next day. I didn't have big plans for the next day other than just kind of rest and recover, and I brought a book to read. So day two though, I had breakfast and rested, and it was about 8:39. Finally I was like, you know what, I'm going to go explore the rest of the valley, because some of the stuff I've seen said the rest of the valley is beautiful beyond that. So left all my gear there in the tent, put my bear can away, and used my little fanny pack from my backpack, and threw a bunch of snacks in there, and brought my filter water bottle and a jacket and some trekking poles, and started heading up the valley with really no plan. I was thinking maybe do a couple miles, 2-3 miles, and then turn around and come back. Just a nice kind of active recovery day. Well, that changed. As I kept going up the valley, there's beautiful viewpoints, and I knew there was Anderson Pass up beyond that, but it was like 6 miles, and I really didn't want to do a round trip that would be like 12 miles or more. So this was not in the plan at all. But as I kept going, I kept getting more motivated and more curious, and decided, you know what, I'll get up to Anderson Pass. And same thing here, it's kind of hard to get lost. You go through this valley the whole way with pretty tall ridges on both sides. There's multiple water stops along the way. You cross over streams, nothing too difficult, but then elevation starts getting you. So right before you get to Anderson Pass, there's a bunch of switchbacks going up the mountain here, and it's probably the harder part of the hike, so I just rested at the bottom of that before I went up, and then went on to Anderson Pass, and was a little underwhelmed with Anderson Pass. I went beyond Anderson Pass onto the Dosey Wallops Trail just a little bit to get a better viewpoint. Got some pictures and some videos. A little underwhelmed. And on my way back, there's a sign that said Anderson Moraine, and I knew there was a lake up there. I knew it was a significant elevation change, and not too far in distance. I think it's about a mile hike. And it had been in the back of my mind like Inception for a while, since I started looking at this this hike. And finally at that moment I decided, okay, I'm gonna go for it. And so then you just follow that trail, and that is just straight up the mountainside. A lot of switchbacks back and forth, but at each switchback, the higher you get, the more beautiful it gets. You can look down into Anderson Pass. You can get a much better vantage point looking up and down the valley on either side. It's so beautiful. And then you get up over the little ridge there and onto the Anderson Moraine, and you see the lake. And the lake was just gorgeous. It was a baby blue kind of crayon color. And stopped and rested there just to kind of take in the views. Unfortunately, there's cloud cover that covered much of the mountains around it. I really did, because I hadn't really researched that a lot, I wasn't sure what all was around that. All I could see was like a few hundred feet off the lake. But later, looking at the maps and looking at some other videos since I got back, I didn't realize I was surrounded by towering peaks, and there's Mount Anderson just up the way. So I might want to make it back at some point on a sunny day just to kind of take in all the beautiful views. But after getting some picture and videos and just enjoying my time up there and resting, it's time to bounce back down. And there's really nothing different about the trip back other than you can kind of boogie on the safer parts of the trail. And I was moving out, trying to move as fast as I could. And since I didn't really have a backpack, I could move pretty quickly, and just essentially ran back down to the Enchanted Valley much of the way. But a beautiful day hike. I'm so glad I did that. So worth it. If you don't want to hike all the way back down, there's actually multiple campsites up there just through the Anderson Pass on the other side. Camp Siberia, and I think it's Honeymoon Meadows is down there too. So there's multiple ways you can do this trip. And so that was day 2. Day hike up to Anderson Moraine and back, and that was almost 13 miles on my Garmin data from that, the round trip. So day 3, no big plans, just had to get back out of the valley, and I wanted to do it quickly as I could. I kind of wanted to push the pace as hard as I could to get out of there and get back home so I could spend the evening with my family. But also I just kind of wanted to test my capabilities and my speed and see what I could do. So I just boogied the whole way out. I stopped one time for 20 minutes and a few other very short breaks for pee breaks and stuff, but I was able to make it out in 6 hours and 7 minutes, and Garmin data said 14.35 miles. So that's probably pretty close. So it's around 14 miles, I think, the trip from the trailhead to Enchanted Valley. That's probably the closest data point that I could get. But great trip. I felt wrecked for the next few days. This is 4 or 5 days later, and I'm still slightly recovering. But great trip overall. Loved it. Hope that helps you. And then you'll need all your gear too. I'm not going to go through a whole gear breakdown, but a lot of things. I had kind of learned how to pack my pack in the past and go pretty lightweight. Nowhere near ultralight backpacking, but most of the time when you're first starting out, you carry way more than you actually need, and you end up hurting. This is kind of a longer hike if you do it in the length of legs that I did it in. So going lighter is going to be better for you. You're going to enjoy it more, and you're not going to have as much fatigue or foot pain or back pain. So the pack that I used was a Mystery Ranch Bridger 65, which was very capable, awesome, and I dialed it in during the hikes each day to make it fit and more comfortable and carry better. The cool thing about this is you can detach the head unit, or whatever we call this thing, on the top of the pack, and I used it for my day hike. So for day 2, I just detached this from the top of the pack, and it has straps. They can use it kind of like a fanny pack, and I carried my filter water bottle with me in the pack along with a bunch of snacks, and that was enough to get me through the day. So I have T-Mobile. I never had any sort of signal the entire time I was on my hike. I tried from multiple places, including the top of, well, near Mount Anderson at Anderson Moraine. Never had signal. But what you do get is GPS on your phone. So go ahead and download the AllTrails map for this hike before you go out there, and I just use it as reference every once in a while to just see where I was on the actual trail. You just, after a few seconds, the GPS populates on there. You don't really need navigation for this, because all you do is you just kind of hike in a valley the entire way up to the Enchanted Valley. And it's pretty obvious the trail that you're supposed to follow is the main one, and there are signs at each little offshoot along the way. But for reference, you can use the AllTrails app. It was great for this. I think the AllTrails data is erroneous in its distance to some degree. I use my Garmin watch and Garmin heart rate monitor for tracking most of the time, and I was getting distances longer than what AllTrails was saying. That might have been because I was going back and forth multiple times with the GoPro and also taking breaks. And whenever you take a break, the GPS signal you can see on your Garmin data, it just kind of circles around. But that first hike, the first day, I went 15.31 miles according to my Garmin data, but the trailhead says 13.5 miles, and AllTrails, I forget what it says, but there's kind of a pretty significant difference between the distances. So just be ready. You may go between 14 and 15 miles on the first day from the Grays Creek, where you started the trailhead there, all the way to Enchanted Valley. It was kind of a morale killer near the end when I thought I was getting close, and I still had like another mile and a half to go. So just be wary, the distances may be off. So for water, I use these Kinnetic water filters. This was actually my accessory. It's like a 0.6 liter. I had a full liter. This was I just kept this in my pack just in case filter broke down or water bottle busted, just so I'd have a secondary. And I can't find it right now. But use the Kinnetic water filter. Plus I use my Nalgene. This was, I could put stuff in here like Mio with caffeine, or electrolyte stuff. I put that in there, and it was nice just for drinking. So in camp, once I arrived in the Enchanted Valley, I used the 4-liter Hydro Pack. It's just something I carried in my unfiltered water from the river, so I had stuff for meals and for drinking water there. But there's so many water stops along the trail during the hike, you really don't need to carry more than a liter or two on your body at one time. Trekking poles are clutch. I poo-pooed these for a long time and finally gave in to them like a month or two ago and got some. They're expensive, but they're very worth it, especially if you're carrying a heavy pack and going long distances. And especially as I got more and more fatigued, it was really, really helpful to have those. So I'd recommend those. So again, I could have gone a lot lighter, but there's a few things. I brought a camp chair. You don't really need this. It's a luxury item. It's a little heavier. I don't know how much it weighs, but this thing was clutch for in camp after coming back from those long days of hiking and sitting in that camp chair. Oh, actually made the trip amazing. For clothing, I also brought like a microfiber towel that I didn't use, thermal pants and shirt that I didn't really use. I also brought my handgun for protection, which didn't really need to use that. It's pretty safe. There's a lot of people on the trail. It's only black bears that I saw. You should be pretty safe. So some people bring bear spray. Food I overpacked. I threw a bunch of jerky and some extra food in at the end because I still wasn't completely sure about my plans, but ended up coming home with still a bunch of food. So if you plan out exactly what you're going to do, you can probably cut a lot more weight still. The one thing I would have absolutely taken in hindsight are gaiters. I was getting trail debris in my shoes constantly. And I don't know if it's because of kind of the mid-top boots like this, if the debris just kind of came up there and went in there really easily, but I would take gaiters. First hike in, I stopped every 3 miles or so to clean out my shoes along with the water break and rest break. But I did, on the way back, I only stopped the one time. I didn't want to stop, so I just dealt with it. But yeah, absolutely, I would do gaiters if I did it again. For clothing, all I really did was take this Nike dry fit running shirt, and over top of that I had a little very thin Patagonia long sleeve hooded thing. I was warm the whole time while I was hiking. If I got a little chilly, I just started hiking more. I took this jacket, which I use kind of in the evenings or up on the top of the mountain up at Anderson Moraine. Helped. Did I need it? Maybe not, but it was nice. For my shorts, I just use these Prana shorts. I've had these for many, many years. The greatest thing is they're super lightweight, super durable. I'm actually surprised at how durable they are. And they dry super quickly. So they get wet, they're dry within 30 minutes to an hour. I had a dry shirt for end camp and at night. This was great. And the socks I used, I had a pair of underwear and a pair of socks for each day, which again, that's comfort. Felt amazing to put on the dry stuff, because you're not really drying out much in the Olympic National Park. I hung stuff up on a line, but the next morning it still felt damp and cool. So if you really want dry stuff, then bring some dry stuff for each day. These socks are not anything special. They're just, I think they're synthetic Under Armour socks. They were fine. And then my shoes are these Solomon hiking boots. I don't even know what type, but they did great. A lot of people use trail runners. Trail runners are probably more comfortable, lighter weight. I think that's it from a gear standpoint. Of course, I had the sleeping bag. I had a 2-person Big Agnes tent. It was great because I could put my gear in there and sleep in there at the same time, and had a sleeping pad, Thermarest sleeping pad. But I think that's it from a gear standpoint. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them as quickly as I can. If you did like this content, like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel and helps it grow. And I enjoy making this stuff from time to time as I have time. So I can look back on my own memories, but also I like helping out other people as I can. So anyways, thanks for watching. Enjoy your day, and get out there, do something cool, be dangerous.